Several years ago, a buddy of mine and I climbed Long's Peak, tallest mountain in the Rockies, and began well. We were bounding up the trail, passing lesser hikers, feeling optimistic. But then as we neared the top, something went wrong. We suddenly began to feel nauseous, exhausted, depleted, then stuck. We lacked the resources to keep going forward. But in the midst of our distress, a mountain man appeared out of nowhere, and he came to our aid, and he equipped us with gloves for our hands and assorted gear. And then he said, "Your first problem, gentlemen, is that you're breathing wrong." And this surprised us. Of all our problems up there, breathing hadn't occurred to us to be one of them. We said, "I think I know how to breathe." But then he replied, "Not up here you don't. The atmosphere's changed, and you have to adapt if you want to survive." And I think often about that moment as I survey the cultural landscape of our world today. Shifts in the atmosphere and society have had a profound impact on our vibrancy and on the way we interact with God, with each other, and with ourselves. But because these changes are in the atmosphere, we cannot see them, but we feel the effects of them. And the recent data backs it up. There's something about modern life that does not promote human flourishing. Anxiety and depression are on the rise, particularly among young people. Increased political and philosophical polarization incites fear, uncertainty, and anger. The constant comparison of our lives with others' pristine presentations online fills us with discouragement. And the irresistible lure of our screens means we're constantly soaking our minds in this polarization and comparison, which feeds our stress and despair. And in the midst of this ever-present anxiety, many traditional buffers to stress have been removed. So in this atmosphere of relentless restlessness and shallow social connection, addictions have arisen to new heights. Thus, in the relatively safest time for human beings to exist on the planet, we find ourselves disoriented and disturbed. Like my friend and I on the mountainside, we're exhausted, discouraged, and uncertain how to solve the situation. We need a guide to emerge on the mountainside who will teach us, equip us, and show us how to move forward. Centuries ago, the prophet Jeremiah looked out upon a generation that felt unsure of where to turn in the midst of crisis and uncertainty. And he declared, "Thus says the Lord, stand by the road and look. Ask for the ancient paths, where the good way is. Walk in it, and you'll find rest for your souls." And many today are asking, where is the good way? Is there a path that can lead to rest for our souls? And here's the good news. When Jesus looked upon the crowds in his day, he saw men and women who were harassed and helpless, like sheep without a shepherd. They were relentlessly bombarded with trouble, and they lacked the resources to defend themselves. But Jesus didn't shake his head or wag his finger and scold them. Rather, he had compassion on them, and he taught them many things. And what you'll find in this book is not a scolding for your struggles, nor is an extended motivational speech to try harder. I want to bring you to the Good Shepherd, who will guide us on the ancient paths where we can find rest for our souls. Rest in War is a field guide to the spiritual life. It contains ancient methods of transformation transposed into a modern key. There's no shortcuts to a meaningful life, but there are real gains to be made, strength to be built. There are promises to grip and progress to be made. We can be equipped to walk elegantly through the battlefield of life. But to experience serenity, we must struggle. And to find rest, we must train our hands for war.